Hey guys, Lurkin here from Mobilytics, and today I'm going to be going over my Blizzard build. I really like it for speed farming. I'm not enjoying it too much in the pit. There's just a lot of stronger options. But if you're just more on the casual side and you're looking for like a fun B-tier Blizzard build, this is what I got. I think it has some potential in the right hands in the pit. I think maybe you could go T95, T100. It's definitely got a lot of damage when you stack it up. It's just there's easier options that are easier to gear in terms of Masterworks to just push higher and deal more damage. But there's two variants here. I'll talk about each of them briefly, and then we'll just sort of go into the gameplay. I'll talk about the Paragons a little bit. So the first is an Air of Perdition, which you will see when I do the pit. And basically, you get a lot of crit chance from here, and you get a lot of damage, but it makes your cooldowns pretty terrible. So running, and you get squishy, so running Raiment felt terrible. So what I did here was I used Shroud of False Death to give me a lot of tankiness with the max life and the L stats. And then I used the NOC and the KRY rune, where inflicting the crowd control gives me a ton of offering. Set offering invokes Spiritborn's Vortex. And so basically what ends up happening is I'll sit in one spot and I'll cast Blizzard on top of myself. And then I will, when the KRY rune goes off, I will hoover and suck all the enemies on top of me and blast them with the 12 seconds of Blizzards that I have casted. And because KRY, the Vortex rune has a 3-second cooldown. If you get enough offering, the sucks will be massive, and the kill shots will be great. So for boss runes for this setup, because my cooldown is so bad, I have Urvar's Law bombs. I don't even have an ultimate in the build. I just want 15% CDR. And then I'm running Cinerats and Kirma Sparks on every setup here. So the Cinerats, it's 25% damage cubed, so 1.95x damage when Enlightenment's active. The Sparks here is just for evade cooldown reduction. Blizzard just needs it. When Enlightenment is down, you deal 0 damage. So being able to like evade every cast or like every other cast is really important for Blizzard, because you cast Blizzard, evade, stack up Enlightenment. And then I just slot in Flesh Reapers here just to get 20% more damage. There's nothing really else that I would really want. We can't really run Harbinger here because we're not proccing, we're never proccing our main boss power to apply it. But so next is the Shaco version. The Shaco version ends up using sort of a very similar setup, but our skill bar will look differently. You can look in the planner to see what that is. We will have our Unstable Currents ultimate in that, and then we do use the Sem. Let's see, we use the Sem and the Zek. Oh, if I could find it real quick. Zek right here. So we use cast evade for 75 offering, and then for 100 offering we get to reduce our ultimate cooldown by 1 second. This basically fully eliminates the need to use Orange Herald, so we're just constantly evade teleporting to reduce our cooldown. And with Shaco, we can get it low enough to where we can get it back. Gives us some really nice attack speed. And I still like Shroud on there. You can run Raiment if you want, but I was able to achieve 1 second teleports, and that's without even like super crazy, like I don't have GA CDR Shaco, I don't even have a Tel Rasha. It's possible. You're able to get it. You don't need in crazy streamer gear to get this thing moving really fast. And as you can see, like a lot of my gear isn't that good. I have an 8 out of 12 wand. It's rolled right, but like 1 crit on Ice Spike to deal double damage. I don't even have I don't even have any hits on Ice Spike to deal double damage. I have a very good Blue Rose with a double hit, so that's something. But like my amulet's missing a passive. I digress. For the boss powers for the Speedfarm Shaco setup, you would be running Beast in the Ice Sleets just to freeze and kill stuff because you're farming. And then your second boss power would be Hatred's Embrace here to make up the crit chance that you have lost from Perdition. But I think I've rambled long enough. You can check out the guide. I've got it to a point where I like it. I don't think I'll be changing it much. And then I will go over the Paragon after some gameplay and stuff. Hey guys, glad to have you back. So we're gonna go over enchantments, skill tree a little bit. I'll talk about some major points on some of the builds, and then I'll go over the Paragon. So for enchantments, it is teleport enchantment with familiar enchantment. Because of the way Enchantment Master works this season, if you've seen any of my other videos, I also describe it in the guide. Basically, this is giving us a ton of damage when Enlightenment is active because it's counting as all three elements. So we're getting like 40% damage with cold, 40 with fire, 40 with lightning, and then another 20 with lightning, so 60% with lightning. And then those are all like combining together when Enlightenment's active, just giving us a ton of damage. Teleport enchantments, amazing for stacking up Enlightenment. Cast Blizzard, teleport evade, boom, 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 boom. You're alternating, Enlightenment stacked up. So in the skill tree, just some of the important things. This is the two setups have completely different skill trees because one wants to use Fireball for executes and the other is just kind of uses the ultimate and stuff. But just look at the skill trees. But the major points here are you need Mystical Teleport in these builds. This is how you're making crackling energy by teleporting on top of enemies so that you can get 15 to 20% damage out of convulsions, depending on if you have Shroud. If you're hurting for mana, you can take some points in Invigorating Conduit because you will be making crackling energy here, so you can teleport. What is it? In this setup, I do like. Let's see. Well, another important thing for mana is Primordial Binding. I know it doesn't give us any damage, but it does give us mana regen. And we are casting Ice Blades in the Perdition setup, the damage setup. We are casting Ice Blades, and we are making lightning spears through hard casting them, so like we will get some mana regen out of it. And then in the Harlequin Crest setup, where we do have unstable currents, we will be making upwards of 10 conjurations. Because we're teleporting so often, we will be making lightning spears and shock familiars when we teleport evade, like almost half the time. So you will see yourself stack up to 10 conjurations, and then boom, look, you have 160% mana regen. So the ranks to Primordial Binding are pretty important. So don't skip those, and the build just gets better as you gear. And we have some decent uptime with shimmering with ice armor here on the build for a nice barrier. Some of the setups I use the Mind's Awakening aspect to generate barrier because it just I don't like to make builds that feel bad to play. If I'm dying in the pit like very frequently, I hate it. But some of the variants take Icy Veil to increase your ice armor duration, and then they'll have shimmering ice armor because as you're spending mana, you'll get your ice armor back. But let's move into the Paragon here. So this should look like the guide. I know in the past sometimes I'll make them on the fly and they don't look the same, but our glyphs here are Destruction for our critical strike damage, very large bonus here. We have 3 glyphs that increase our non-fizz by a multiplicative amount. Those are Warding, Elementalist, and Flame Feeder. We don't really care about the decks here. We're just trying to unlock this non-fizz. And then Tactician here. So some of the early build guides, they do have Unleash. Unleash is it's a good glyph. You can drop if you don't have Warding leveled up, you can drop it for it. I would say either drop Warding or drop Flame Feeder for Unleash if you want it. If you need the mana regen, that's the big thing, because there's still you look at Flame Feeder here. It's on a board where we have non-fizz. Non-fizz is extremely important for Enlightenment. So by dropping Flame Feeder, if you put Unleash here, you will be able, you get more non-fizz, dex, willpower, damage to vuln. So it does have value. So dropping Flame Feeder for Unleash, that's what I would do. And it's even if you don't have Shroud yet, you still get value out of it on a 4th board if you're not able to hit these Paragon racks. But I start off with the starter. I like Tactician here. It just paths nicely. Some good damage after we cast defensive skills. Next, we move into Enchantment Master. This is the node that's giving us a ton of damage when Enlightenment's active, as I talked about with the teleport and the familiar enchant shenanigans. I put Warding here. In the starter boards, this is where Unleash goes because, Warding's kind of like an endgame glyph because it doesn't really provide you any value early, mainly because that additional bonus is just damage reduction. And early, we're looking for mana regen and damage, But next I go over to Frigid Fate just for 1.6x damage. Let's put a little point here. I put Elementalist here. It's a nice path through. Boosts our non-fizz, boosts our vulnerable damage, and you know, Tactician does the same thing down here. It boosts our non-fizz, very important for Elementalist. This board's pretty solid, but we're just going to do a quick path through. The only additives I really care about that much on this board are this max life here. The rest of it, like this DR Vuln and this lucky hit, it's like whatever. And this stuff's like, okay, cool. Next, I do take Fundamental Release. Just I like the board. It's pretty comfy. It gives the build some much needed, you know, resistance to all elements and all DR. And then it's got non-fizz as well. So Flame Feeder slots pretty nicely here for this increased non-fizz X. And then Unleash can go here too if you don't want to run Flame Feeder. And then lastly, I do go into Searing Heat. It's a pretty cheap board, and that's kind of why I like it. It's got crit damage, and then fire damage is like whatever, but this does give us damage when Enlightenment's active. So like it's not totally throw at all. Like these fire damage nodes have some value. And then we're just after this 1.6x damage here. All direct damage just deals 60% more damage. And then I think I missed on Fundamental Release. We're getting 50% more damage just from like, you know, critically striking enemies. So, yeah, that's the board. I think it's pretty good. I'm a big fan. And like I said, just if you're hurting on mana, drop Flame Feeder for Unleash, and you should be pretty good.